Hey guys, this is Carolina Varsity. We're in 2015 season. We're taking a look at round one 4AA NCHSAA playoffs. We got number 10, Ardrey Kell, going over to play number 7, South Mecklenburg. I'm Dale Ross.
I'm Matt Marr, the Pit Man.
I'm Dennis Carlson.
I got a rant here for a second.
About a rematch, right?
Why?
First
Why
round
do we
rematch.
have this rematch? You look at the 6 seed Valley Creek and you look at the 11 seed East Meck. One below each. They were both seeded number 2. Valley Creek was a number 2, South Meck was a number 2. East Meck's a number 3, Ardrey Kell's a number 3. NCHSAA tries to make situations where they avoid rematches in the first round. Very easily, South Meck should be playing East Meck, Valley Creek could be playing Ardrey Kell. But now we got this stupid rematch here where they just played last week.
Unfortunately,
makes no sense.
they write a rule before the season starts. It's, the seeding process and the records plays into it as well. So you got two number 2s and you got the same records. I mean, you got different records and you have to seed one above the other. I hear what you're saying. I hate to see a rematch. This is
Especially when they just played.
last week, exactly.
It's crazy. And it's the same field. Well, let's take a look at the game last week because we just saw the rematch. I mean,
Right.
saw the game these two teams play. 51-24, South Meck won. A.J. Elam had a huge game throwing the ball, 4 touchdowns, had 1 rushing. Ardrey Kell had 5 turnovers. They jumped out to the lead, and then South Meck came back. South Meck played well on offense. That is a really good sign for them because the defense has played well all season long, but the offense, obviously with the quarterback situation, the Wallace getting hurt, and like you mentioned off camera earlier, Elam was a big part of the offense at tight end, his normal position,
Right.
and now putting him at quarterback, they lose someone there.
Yeah, so Coach said, just to say, I congratulated him for stepping up. And Coach said, well, he always steps up. And the problem is we lose him as a target.
Right.
And that's a very valid point.
So in these rematch situations, it's always, if you lost, you have built-in motivation right there. And the way Ardrey Kell lost with 5 turnovers, they kind of feel like they gave this game away. If you're South Meck, you say, well, pardon my French, we beat your ass one time.
Right.
We're going to come back and do it again in the same spot. So take a look at it. Ardrey Kell can't turn the football over. Bryce McGinley threw 3 interceptions to John Brandon. What do you learn from this if you're Ardrey Kell? You got to sit down, look at the film. You don't have a lot of time to change much because you just saw each other. So
What do you learn? You might look at what we said last week about throwing near that guy. We told you not to, and he gets 3 interceptions in the ball game.
Yeah. So don't throw at him. That'd be the first thing.
You don't have to.
Or, use him as a decoy or something, clear it out and run some guys underneath him or something like that. But South Meck, man, they got confidence. Obviously, you just beat these guys really, really big, and, you can't get the big head, though. Because Ardrey Kell did come out and take the lead early.
Right.
So, it's not a lot of analysis here.
No,
I
I think
this is more mental than saying what you're going to do chess match wise, because you pretty much shown your cards to each other already.
yeah. So if you're South Meck, you got to tell the kids that you know what they had 5 turnovers, and they don't have those 5 turnovers. We're down in that ball game, and if they don't have those 5 turnovers, that's not a game we're going to win. And the kids got to understand that there was some luck in that win last night. Obviously, they made things happen,
Right.
but there was a little bit of luck to go along with that. So there's got to be some motivation there that I think in the end, Ardrey Kell still had more offense than South Meck had. One of the stats that someone threw up today had Ardrey Kell had more offense than South Mecklenburg had.
Well, I think that can be somewhat of a fool's gold situation. When South Meck's getting those turnovers, they don't have to go as far as driving the field and such. Shorter possessions,
So the gold out of that is we drove all the way down on them, and we drove on them and we turned the ball over. So that's one way to look at it. Also, is that from the other side, and as coaches, you got to say they were doing these things well, but in the end, the same analysis as before. South Mac's got to stop McGinley, and we think they've got the D line to do it. And
I got a question.
yeah,
Does McGinley come off the field in this game if you're Ardrey Kell?
that was in the Catholic game. It was obvious that they wanted that win, and he what did he have 14 tackles?
14 tackles, yeah.
Yeah, so your quarterback's got getting 14 tackles, so you're keeping him in 4AA football, which is kind of unheard of. Does he come off the field? Well, this is loser go home situation now, but you also you got the next week and the next week and the next week. But I don't know. I think you probably got to have your best guys on the field to win this ball game.
Another question. If Antonio Wallace is healthy, does he play?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. We're at the mark of when he was hurt. I was told the number of weeks. So we're in that time frame that he could return. And I have not asked the question if he's going to return.
So let me ask you. If he is, you would?
I would, but I would put, if Elam is that big of a loss, moving him to quarterback as a target, I most certainly would. Now, assuming that obviously I would have to be with him practicing to know does he feel comfortable to be able to step right back in. What I know about the kid, I would think he would be ready, mentally ready. But as a coach, you got to obviously. I don't think it's going to upset the chemistry of the team to pull him in. It just gives them another offensive threat. What do you think?
The coach is going to know the best. Whether a kid, even if he's only 80%, is he going to help the team more than not being in there at all? If he's 100%, obviously, go ahead and put him in there. But there's been kids that at 50, 60%. They're still gonna be a game changer and gonna help out. Right. Then there's other kids that when they drop down to 80%, they're a liability. Yeah. You got to take them out. So the coach is gonna know the best on that one.
Well, the thoughts were 4 to 6 weeks, and he'd be 100% healed. So he had a break of the wrist. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to hurt the chemistry. I guess is the important thing. It's just can he play? Right. The chemistry of I can't be quarterback anymore. I don't think that exists. One of the good things about this team, I think, is that I don't see that prima donna attitude out of any of the players. I see it at a lot of sidelines I'm on. You can tell that those players. Oh yeah. It's about me, whether anybody wants to believe it or not. And I don't see that. I see a lot of good athletes that are willing to be role players.
What you think, Coach?
This is one of those everyone's going to look at last week's score and write Ardrey Kell off, and just they're going to pencil South Mac into the next round. And what you were talking about before with all those turnovers, I know Evan's going to be sitting there telling his guys his message is, if we didn't have those turnovers, how different would that game have been? Right. So it was probably sloppy, muddy game last week. It's not going to be quite as sloppy, this week. So the ball control is going to be a big difference in this. So this is a game that if I go anywhere on Friday night, this would be a game that I'd want to go to. Because it's so hard to beat a team twice. That's right. You can beat the crap out of them the first time. It doesn't matter what point in the season. It's so hard to beat a team twice. And Ardrey Kell's not going to come out and do the same thing they did. There's going to be something different. Right. They're going to go back and look to that film. They're going to make some adjustments. They're going to change some things. Because every time every coach watches film, man, I wish I had done this. Man, I wish I had done that. Well, they get this opportunity to make that happen. The big thing with South right now is there's such a confidence there. They're playing with such a confidence there. They've had that confidence for the last 2 years. They might not have had the results to go with it. They might not have had the rest of the world agreeing with them.
Oh yeah.
But they've got the results now.
Right.
And it's at a point now where it's almost turned into a little bit of swagger. and you can kind of see it in the players. You know, you can hear it in the way that team's talking, and there's not a whole lot of people arguing against them anymore.
Right.
You know, so that part's going to carry them very, very far in that playoffs. Just that confidence they walk onto that field of been here, done it. You know, they still got to figure out how to carry that us against that world mentality.
Right.
Because I guarantee you, the first time that they get in a tough game or they lose early in the playoffs, everyone's going to be like, "I told you so. I told you guys weren't that good."
Yeah.
You know, and they're going to keep hearing it again next year.
That's right.
You know, until they make that deep run. So they got to take that swagger and that chip on the shoulder they've had the last couple of weeks and just stay with it.
Exactly. Good
point.
stuff.
Now, there you go. I agree with everything. I think this could be a real good ball game because it is a rival. The report says 35-20. South Mecklenburg over Ardrey Kell. Of course, that's based on all the numbers from the beginning of the season to last week. Has nothing to do with last week, although last week plays a little factor in that algorithm, but not much. It's the whole season. So 35-20. But I believe, just as we said last week, we got a rival. We got two rivals going at each other, and it's just mistakes. Mistakes kill you, and if you eliminate the mistakes, that game's a whole lot different ball game. So I think the same thing here. Hope you guys have a great ball game. Thanks.